Welcome to Primetime, everybody. This is episode 10. I am your host, Hunter Chambliss. I'm joined by Chad and Kerri. How's it going, guys?
Hey, going well. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. I just got out of seeing The Northman, which might be my favorite movie of the year.
Nice.
We will have to see. How are you guys doing today?
Great. Yeah, we actually haven't been watching too many current movies. We need to
We've been watching
get on
the
that.
horrors of World War II.
Oh, yeah, the year of 1998 is what we've been diving hard into. But
Ooh.
yeah, I'm looking forward to whenever we get to see The Northman.
Yeah. We could go really anytime. Not anytime because we're very busy, but sometime we'll make time to go see it.
Definitely. All right, so the topic today is going to be a very controversial topic. It's horror at the Oscars, ladies and gentlemen. The Academy Awards seem to have a problem with nominating horror movies, and we are going to discuss why. But first, we have some news stories, and I'll start with this first one. The Fangoria Chainsaw Awards returns to Shudder Sunday, May 15th, hosted by David Dashman?
To Small Chin, right?
David Dismalchin, yes.
Yeah.
I see. I butchered it. That's why I have co-host.
It's a hard
He's in a
name.
lot of Denis Villeneuve movies. Great actor. He was Polka Dot Man.
Oh my god, he was. Yes,
Yeah.
that's where I recognize the name from.
There you go.
He's
Amazing.
in Dune, too.
So,
He's in
yeah,
Dune.
this comes from, of course, Fangoria.com. It says, "All right, creeps, it's time, almost time. We are certainly hope to get those votes in because the Fangoria Chainsaw Awards are coming to you Sunday, May 15th at 7 p.m. Eastern on Shudder, which is amazing that Shudder is actually showing the ceremony, so it actually feels legit. It's not just like something from a website. It actually feels like you're having like a backer, which is really, really cool. It says this year's festivities includes Dee Wallace, Joe Latig. Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Sorry about that. My computer seemed to crap out. And this year's nominees for Best Picture includes Candyman, Last Night in Soho, Titan, Titane.
Titan.
See,
Have you seen
thank
that
you guys
movie,
for coming again. Chucky and Midnight Mass. Which Chucky?
Midnight
I wonder.
Mass.
The series, the sci-fi series.
Oh, okay. So it's series and movies. That's intriguing to know. So yeah, guys. Kind of feels like poignant that we're talking about horror at the Oscars, and we have our very own Chainsaw Awards coming to Shudder. Chad, Kerri, thoughts on that coming up very soon?
I'm excited. I voted in them.
Oh my god! I wish you would have told me. I didn't even
I
know they were
should
happening.
have, now that I think about it, distributed the link. But maybe you can still vote in them. I'm not sure, but voting probably ended. I should have been better about.
We have a little
that.
bit of time, so I'm gonna check it on after we get out of here, and I'm gonna try to put in my vote for Last Night in Soho because that movie is amazing.
In fact, we're probably going to be watching that soon. I have a Edgar Wright match coming up that I'm very excited to play over at Full Metal. And I've only seen that one once, so I'm hoping I can watch it again and retain some of the information. But that movie was pretty excellent, I thought. I know it got a little bit of like mixed love there, but
I loved it.
When you're batting 100 or 1,000 or whatever they say, that Edgar Wright is, then sometimes
He hasn't
can
missed.
be a little divisive, huh?
Wright hasn't missed, which is insane because he's done like
Great.
5 movies so far.
Yep.
Yeah.
Documentary, yeah. And I'd also love to throw some love over at Midnight Mass because
Oh my god!
I'm just a
so
huge
good.
Mike Flanagan fan. So anything that guy does,
I'm gonna have to watch that
It's
because I've been hearing great things about it.
It's really good. And I think you're not adverse to a slow burn horror, Hunter. So I think
I
it's
love it.
a slow burn. That I think some people were disappointed with it because it didn't have quite as many jump scares as The Haunting of Hill House, Mike Flanagan's first Netflix series. But if you're not in it just for the jump scares, I think you will enjoy it.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, there are some people who love horror for the jump scares. I love it for the story, but hey,
you're a story guy, you're gonna love this.
Yeah. There are some jump scares though, but just not a lot.
Yeah.
So yes, I'm very excited that I actually can watch it on the Shudder streaming site. That's one of the services that I keep up constantly because it's like $5 a month and I get all my horror fix. It's amazing.
Yeah, and I think it might be a little cheaper or maybe the same price if you pay for the year.
That's
the whole
what we
year.
Yeah, it's like $60 a year, which is not bad at all. Which I may end up just switching to paying yearly for it.
Yeah, actually, if it's 60 a year, that would be the same as $5 a month. So
yeah, it's worth it.
Yeah,
even if you don't watch for a few months and then you just binge a bunch or something.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. All right, so coming off that, also from Fangoria, Kerri, do you want to take over this next story about the Monstrous trailer?
Yeah, so Christina Ricci, starring in a new horror movie. I'm not sure if she has starred in a horror movie recently.
Oh, not recently.
Although she might have been in Yellow Jackets. I can't remember.
She was in that Cursed movie, I think.
Okay. So she's kind of
making that's a Wes Craven.
She's making, kind of a comeback in horror. This looks really interesting. It's about, Christina Ricci plays kind of a Stepford Wives housewife. It kind of seems like a little bit like, with the big full skirt and like colorful.
Like Swallow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she and her son are fleeing her abusive ex-husband.
Like Swallow.
And like all horror movies, shit goes wrong. So we'll see exactly what happens in the movie itself. The trailer looks interesting, so I'm excited to see this one.
I actually didn't watch the trailer.
I didn't watch the trailer either.
But what it was the tagline kind of like there for the article? Was it like Christina Ricci versus monsters?
Versus demons. So I guess there's some demons in this.
I love me some Christina Ricci. She was actually in the first movie I ever saw in the theater, Casper, that I remember.
Yeah.
And
she was also Wednesday Addams. Correct me if I'm wrong.
She's a great Wednesday Addams.
And she is going to be voicing Wednesday Addams in the new Netflix animated Wednesday series.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was animated. I could have sworn it was going to be live action.
Unless I'm just like totally, I'd like misread an article, which is also possible.
But either way, that's awesome if they're bringing her back for it.
Oh no, actually, so Christina Ricci is going to be in it, but Jenna Ortega is. Oh,
Jenna Ortega, who is that? Like,
who is that?
The girl in everything.
Is it animated? I don't know. We'll see when it comes out.
So yeah, the tagline on this poster says, "The past can pull you under," which is very interesting because if you look at the poster again, it looks like something's coming up, grabbing her foot.
Oh wow!
So
like her demons are manifesting in reality. I don't know. I'm excited. I like Christina Ricci a lot. She's great in everything. So
yeah, exactly. So this is going to be a very intriguing movie, I'll say the least. Again, I'm in it for the story. So, if a movie's a slow burn, I don't care as long as I'm connected to the story and things like that. So, if this one seems like it could be down my alley where it's like, questions of, is it actual demons? Is it her demons? Is it, an actual devil? Like,
it's kind of,
until I see it, I won't know.
Exactly. It's very much so like the movie that you watched, I think, for the first time not that long ago, The Babadook. So
yeah, I watched like a month ago.
Manifesting. So
yeah, it's so good, guys. All right, Chad, go ahead and go to our third story, The Horrors of Tribeca.
Okay. I'm actually, it's not showing up in my doc here. Do you
It's
have it
not
up,
in the
Kerri?
doc, it's in the messages. So I
No,
will pull it up for
no
you.
wonder. Thank you. All right. So what is this? The 2022 Tribeca Festival has announced their lineup. Here are all the horrific offerings you can check out this June. Do we have a list here? Okay, we have something called Attachment. Couple's new relationship is interrupted when mysterious things start happening in their London flat. It seems that one of them's disapproving mother who lives downstairs is using Jewish folklore to come between them. Oh, okay.
Ooh,
That's what I'm
okay.
excited for.
Interesting. Wait, that's not ScarJo, is it?
I kind of doubt it.
But it looks like her a little bit.
Might be.
No, it's not. Like it looks like her, but how to kind of like
So maybe they'll have like something like sort of like a golem or something like that. That happened in Supernatural once. So I
Yeah.
remember it was a big like Jewish folklore kind of golem thing that happened.
Oh, that
Would
would
be
be
kind of
exciting to
cool.
see some new monsters that maybe we're not
Or
aware of.
yeah, absolutely, that could be
yeah.
really cool actually. Yeah, I haven't heard of this one, but I'm always down to check out fun new stories, and the image looks interesting, so I'm down to check it. I don't know if I we might need to check out the Tribeca Festival. It could be really interesting actually. But what I am very excited for is
Yes.
the Black Phone.
Yes.
This
Scott
one is
Derrickson, baby.
the new Scott Derrickson movie, and it's got
Ethan
uh,
Hawke.
Ethan Hawke in it. Sorry, it's probably right here, right in front of me. No, it's not actually. But that's right. The subject of their number 14 newsstand cover is finally available for your eyes to behold. Locked in a soundproof basement by a masked child killer, a teenage boy finds the possibility of hope through an unexpected and supernatural lifeline, a telephone on which he receives motivational calls from the killer's past victims. Whoa.
Oh,
And
that sounds so
I have
good.
seen the trailer for this one, and it looks scary as
The
hell.
only thing, like that trailer did wrong is I feel like it showed way too much,
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
and I was
Well,
just like, ah,
ideally, they'll have even like more surprises. But
yeah.
if not, then it might be disappointing. You never know. But the reason I'm excited for this, not only because Scott Derrickson did Doctor Strange, and I thought that a lot of the visuals and stuff were really good in that. And I think
Mhm.
whatever who's ever cinematography worked with, they just did such a great job with that movie. But I think Sinister is one of the scariest movies I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm down for another like true horror Scott Derrickson.
Yeah, so this is the second movie that had Ethan Hawke and Scott
Sinister.
Derrickson working
Yeah.
together. Yeah, because Hawke played the lead in Sinister. Man, I've been seeing Hawke everywhere. Man, he was in The Northman recently. He played the villain in the new Marvel show Moon Knight.
Mm-hmm.
The man is everywhere, and now he's got this. I I believe this is the first time I've seen Ethan Hawke as uh antagonist in this way.
Mm-hmm.
In like a horror movie, because in Sinister he was the
Yeah.
hero, he was the main guy. This one feels like he's someone we root against, which is kind of awkward in like that dynamic, I should say.
I'm actually sitting here trying to think. I don't know the last time or the first time I've even ever seen Ethan Hawke as like a bad guy.
Well,
Midnight.
in Moon
Other
Knight,
than
but
Moon Knight and like
yeah,
recent. I mean,
Okay.
he's notorious. Even like Training Day, he was the good guy. Denzel was the
yeah,
bad. So I'm like,
yeah.
yeah, he.
This is definitely like a huge step forward to show his range. Which,
Yeah.
I mean, Hawk is a great actor. We all
Oh,
know that,
dude.
but the
Hmm.
things he can do, especially with a script written by Scott Derrickson and directed by him, could be incredible. I'm super excited
Absolutely.
for that.
Well, I mean, I was scrolling through this, and there's a lot of these movies. So I think I might just like kind of read the titles
Yeah,
because I don't know how much time we have to go through every single movie that's on here. It looks like a really fun list of interesting horror movies, though. We got,
I going down. Apparently, they're gonna have a special screening of Basket Case,
Yeah.
and Basket
what's
Case
that?
is fucking insane. It is a B level horror movie that came out in like the late
Oh,
'90s, early 2000s.
no wonder you know what this is. Okay. I've never heard of that. I just thought you were talking about Green Day for a second. Um, anyway. All right, so
Nice.
let's rattle some of these off. Hunter already said Basket Case, but we got Family Dinner, Who is Sarah, Next Exit, A Wounded Fawn, Our Father the Devil, okay, Rounding, Basket Case, Miss 45, Tenement, Bumblebees, Crimson Ties, Lamb,
Different lamb.
Skin and Bone.
Than,
Oh, it is different. Okay.
yeah.
Interesting. It's both kind of horror. Yeah, so Skin and Bone, and that's pretty much it. I don't know. Maybe it wouldn't have taken that long, but
Yeah, it would have taken a bit to
a
read all
bit.
those
So
out, but it looks like an exciting list. So.
anybody like actually like read through any of them and want to highlight any of those other than Basket Case?
The only
Um,
one I think I was going to highlight was the Black Phone. So
Yes, very.
there's actually one that was reading a little bit that actually sounds very
Mhm.
interesting. It's called Next Exit.
Mhm.
It
Mhm.
says one of life's greatest mysteries has been solved. Life after death does exist. The widespread acceptance of ghosts has led to life beyond, a radical scientific study based in San Francisco and launched by Dr. Stevenson, played by Karen Gillan.
Nice.
Mm.
Karen?
Yes. Um, through which volunteers can commit pain-free suicide. After all, what's left to fear about the afterlife? In New York City, two ready-to-die strangers, Rosie and Teddy, randomly end up sharing a rental car for a cross-country trip to their respective life beyond appointments. Friction gradually gives way to a deep emotional connection they both needed, one that allows Rose and Teddy to comfort personal traumas and embrace the kind of love that they've previously rejected. Unfortunately, their date with doom looms.
Hmm.
Oh,
I mean,
that sounds amazing.
I love good like metaphysical, afterlife question, religion type of stuff, like philosophy. So that could be really interesting, actually.
yeah,
And then, yeah, that's the only one I really just wanted to bring up because that sounded very intriguing.
yeah, it's a
Yeah,
cool concept.
absolutely.
I'm kind
Let's
of interested to see where the horror fits in there, or like if it's maybe this is like a loosely horror film, or we'll see.
Well, maybe it'll be kind of like the Frighteners.
Yeah,
Yeah,
That movie's insane.
yeah, that
maybe.
movie's crazy.
Peter
All
Jackson.
right, so I think that's all our news stories for today. Are you guys ready to go into the meat of this discussion? Horror at the Oscars.
Absolutely. I mean,
Definitely.
if you sure, absolutely. And if you want, I do have a list of actually just 18 films that have been nominated for
Okay.
an Academy Award, and it's not all Best Picture. There's only I'm sure you're going to bring up 6 movies that
Yep.
were horror movies. So these are all the horror movies that were nominated for any sort of Oscar, art direction, original
Mm-hmm.
score, stuff like that. Some Best Picture, and we'll get into it, but there should be a lot more. But
Oh yeah, there should be tons more.
so we have Sleepy Hollow in '99 won an Oscar for Best Art Direction.
That
Uh,
makes sense.
really, really cool movie there. And then number 17, Bram Stoker's Dracula in '92 won Oscars for Best Makeup, Costume Design, and Sound Effects Editing. I think all the technical awards are deserved
And
for
I'm
that
gonna
one.
say
Okay.
that one, I don't know. I personally don't really enjoy that film. I'm gonna say it probably only won those awards because it was directed by Francis Ford Coppola.
Well, I
Fair.
mean, I think the makeup and the costumes, all that stuff is like it's a really
Maybe.
interesting like period piece. It's just
Yeah.
like, I don't think it was as enjoyable maybe for us watching it years and years later. I
Yeah.
think a lot of
Yeah,
people
I've only watched it once myself, and I didn't really see what all the hype was about.
same. I know there's a lot of people that love it though, but I we all kind of feel the same about it. at least on our first watch. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Phantom of the Opera, all the way back in 1943, won Oscars for art direction and cinematography. Very interesting there. And that's right. The Exorcist, what won Oscars for best adapted screenplay and sound. Oh, that's right. So I'm only reading the ones that they won because I know they had some acting nominations for The Exorcist as well,
Yeah.
And for Best Picture.
and it was nominated for best picture. And we'll get to
Mhm.
that. But yeah, so apologies, I said nominated, but these are just the winners.
Okay.
So yep, and then Black Swan in 2010 won Best Actress Oscar for Natalie Portman's acting chops.
Yeah.
I think that's deserving. I thought she was great in
Yeah,
that.
I thought she.
Yeah, but again, the whole idea of is Black Swan actually a horror film, which we'll get into when we discuss the movies that have been nominated.
I know for myself, my net or what my umbrella is wider than a lot of
Yeah.
people's. Like I consider Spencer a horror film.
I agree. I mean, I 100% consider Black Swan like a horror film, but I think maybe we'll get into this a little bit later. I think if it was more of a traditional horror film and not more of like a psychological thriller, it
It
would
wouldn't have been.
have
Yeah.
nominated. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. There's a lot of terrifying imagery in there, but it's also a drama. So,
Hmm.
but that's it's Aronofsky, right? Because
Yeah,
Mhm.
Darren
he's
Aronofsky.
known for a lot of like really crazy, like
Mhm.
horrific imagery. So, and then we have Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber of Fleet Street, great movie. Won an
Oh, yeah.
Oscar for Best Art Direction, and I know Johnny Depp was nominated for acting in that. So
Ooh, okay.
pretty sweet. I really, really like that movie.
Yeah.
And then one of Kerri's big favorites is The Omen in '76, won an Oscar for Best Original Score.
And that is Jerry Goldsmith's only Oscar.
Absolutely.
Wow, really?
But,
Yep.
you know.
And think of all the scores he has done for
Right.
everything.
Yeah.
Well, also, Hans Zimmer only just won his second
Yeah.
in like how many years?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
it doesn't, they spread the love, I guess, more with this score. An American Werewolf in London, 1981, won an Oscar for Best Makeup. That's
Well
definitely
deserved.
deserving. I mean,
Well deserved. Yes.
special effects. Yeah. One of the best Stephen King adaptation films, Misery in 1990, won an Oscar for Best Actress, Kathy Bates.
Kathy Bates, of
yeah.
course.
She crushed that movie. I
Oh
love
my God,
that movie.
terrifying.
Yep. Dr.
The
Jekyll.
hobbling scene alone.
Oh,
Mhm.
absolutely.
Oh,
yeah. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, 1931, led
Wow.
Frederick March won the Best Actor Oscar, or lead Frederick March. So that's pretty awesome. I haven't seen that one. Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, 1962.
I
won
have
an
watched that
Oscar-
movie.
Nice. Won an Oscar for Best Costume Design. I'm
Okay.
sure deserved. The Fly, the 1986 version.
I have to still watch that one. That one's big
Cronenberg,
on my list.
Check that shit out. Hell yeah. Won an Oscar for Best Makeup.
Well
Definitely.
Of course.
deserved,
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And then The Picture of Dorian Gray, 1945, won an Oscar for Best Cinematography. I'm sure it was probably the black and white.
I've never seen it.
If it was still split, because it used to be split black and white and color, it probably won the black and white one, I'm sure.
Mhm.
And then Rosemary's Baby, excellent film,
Still gotta
1968.
watch that one as well.
Won an Oscar for Ruth Gordon's performance in the Best Supporting Actress category.
Mhm.
Who was she in the movie?
I think she's the neighbor lady.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
And not the main actress.
No, not Mia
Mia
Farrow.
Farrow.
That's me, Sarah.
Silence of the Lambs.
Obviously.
Like swept so much. 91. The year Kerri was born.
Again, though, is Silence of the Lambs actually a horror movie, or is it like a crime noir?
See, it's both. It's similar to Black Swan. I would say it's a little bit more of a horror movie, in my opinion, than Black Swan, but not by a ton. It's still
it's a
psychological thriller.
Psychological thriller, horror, drama. It's like all that. That's why it's so good, though. It's the blends.
Yeah.
It's like Parasite. It blends so many things.
Again, though, like to me, I see it almost like Seven, where it's like you wouldn't count Seven as a horror movie. Seven's more of a crime
horror movie though.
I would say it's
thriller.
horror, yeah, but it's more
I
crime
would say
thriller.
it's like on a line, but
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Again,
yeah.
though, like the Oscars like pick the horror movies that are like it could be either or. Like there's never truly horror films.
Well, I would say like two of them are.
We'll get into that.
Yeah,
Let's
we'll get
let's get into that. This list is almost done. Sadly, it should be a lot longer.
It should be longer, yeah.
But yeah, Silence of the Lamb won 5 Oscars for Best Picture, Director, Actor, Actress, and Adapted Screenplay.
Well deserved.
Such a
And
great film.
I think the 5 biggest awards.
Yeah.
Is that 5? Yeah.
It won the Big 5. That's right.
Yep, it won the Big 5. Which is actually Silence of the Lambs and I believe Lord of the Rings, Return of the King are the only two that ever sweep the Big 5.
Actually, I think original screenplay is the
well,
one?
I don't know.
I thought
its screenplay is pretty. I would put that equal with the original screenplay.
Yeah.
I think they do give a little bit more. I could be wrong though. I'm not an expert, but anyways, it still won a lot and it's a great film. Aliens, another great film, 1986, won Oscars for Best Sound Editing and Best Visual Effects.
No, wait. Is it Alien or Aliens?
Aliens, 1986.
The less horror.
The less horror, more action.
There's still some horror in it, but yeah, and since now it's just best sound. It's not design and editing anymore. Because people were getting really confused. But then another film, Alien, 1979.
Hey, that one's well deserved.
Won an Oscar for Best Visual Effects. Both great movies. I know it's a classic debate between them, Alien or Aliens. I love both.
I'm Alien over Aliens personally, just because I'm Alien over Aliens, just because I like the tension more in the first one.
I agree.
100% agree. Yeah.
Definitely. And then also another favorite of all of ours, Get Out, won an Oscar for Best Original Screenplay, and it was nominated for Best Picture. So
yep.
And that's the list that I had. So
of winners, yeah.
So I mean that's quite a bit, but like I said, it could be more. We'd like to see more and more horror films nominated for other things every year. Mm-hmm. I mean, we just had kind of a renaissance of so many great horror films just in the past decade.
In the 2010s, especially.
Yeah, because you had Toni Collette in Hereditary, you had Lupita Nyong'o in Us. You had what else?
Well, what were some you had written down some, Hunter?
Oh yeah,
but yeah, like mine's more of like a stat wise, so it might be a little bit longer. So it says since the first Academy Awards in 1927, there have been 550 Best Picture nominees. Out of those, only 6 have been. Sorry.
Yes. There you go. Only 6 have been. Yeah.
Yeah, only 6 have been in the horror genre. Get Out, Black Swan, The Sixth Sense, Jaws, Silence of the Lambs, and The Exorcist.
And that's nominees, not winners. So
I would personally go ahead.
And then it says, but out of these 6, only The Silence of the Lambs has taken home the Best Picture Oscar.
Yeah. I would personally add to this list more recently. Like, if you're going to consider Black Swan a horror film, I would also consider Parasite and The Shape of Water to be at least horror adjacent, like have horror themes in them. I don't know. And definitely, they both won Best Picture, and they're at least more usual choices than typical, straight dramas that don't have any supernatural or thriller elements.
I would say even though I wouldn't personally consider The Shape of Water a horror film, I think Kerri's onto something here though, because it's not just about horror doesn't get a lot of love from the Oscars. It's not just that. It's not a lot of different films get nominated for the Oscars. Like, there's so many different genres like comedy, horror, science fiction, stuff like just weird monster movies like The Shape of Water don't normally get nominated, and yet
Mhm.
it did, and it freaking won, which is insane. So
Yeah.
Harry's onto something here. It doesn't have to be true horror, um, to get some respect, but I would
Yeah.
love to see more true horror
Yeah. Oh,
get
100%.
respect as
Yeah.
well. Like,
Because most of these, like we've been talking about, have
They're
heart.
right on the line.
Yeah. Like if you
Like,
want to argue they weren't a horror movie, you totally could.
yeah. So see, the only one I would really argue isn't really a horror movie is, again, probably Shape of Water. I count that more as like a sci-fi love story
Yeah.
more than like a horror love story, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Or like maybe like a creature feature type
Yeah.
movie.
I guess it's more of like more than a horror movie. It's like a monster movie.
Yeah. Um so then again, looking to the acting awards, out of 356 acting award winners, only 6 went to horror performers. That makes 1.69% out of all the winners. Looking at the acting nominees, only 21 out of a possible 1,749 slots went to horror performers.
Wow.
And
mhm.
that
That's
is
crazy.
freaking insane.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
that's
because now this could be me just being biased because I'm a horror fan, but most of the best acting comes out of horror films in whatever you're talking about. You can get great performances out of anybody when it comes to horror because they have to dive into more than just screaming and being, in a slasher film. You got like Tony Collette, as we brought up, Lupita Nyong'o, um, Etsy Davis for the Babadook.
mhm.
Just tons, especially in the 2010s, of great performers that are not getting recognized for how great they are in those movies.
Unless I misunderstood you, like I don't think like most of the best performances just come from horror, but
No, no, no. I'm saying like in each year, there's at least one that's a powerful performance, especially in the 2010s,
oh
in the
yeah,
horror genre.
oh absolutely, yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm sure you can. Yes, I mean you had
Florence
the
Pugh in Midsommar.
you had the different performers from Titan that were actually
Hmm.
fantastic. Oh freaking Anya Taylor Joy and oh, I love her so much. Thomasin McKenzie in
Yeah.
Last Night in
Last
Soho,
Night in
and then
Soho.
also the older lady, what is her name? Diana Rigg, who was in Last Night in Soho. A lot of
Yeah, I
With
great.
mean,
Rebecca
I'd say
Hall.
Joy in The
I
Witch in 2016.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I like
Really?
all the people from that movie were fantastic. Um,
Exactly.
just being so authentic to that time period is
Hmm.
just so good. And I'm sure. Well, is the Northman just a drama, or is that horror adjacent?
It I would count it not as horror, but I would
Okay.
count it more as a Viking war epic. If that makes
Okay.
sense.
Okay, yeah, because it's kind of like Eggers,
Well, hold on.
a little bit.
It's got supernatural elements, so a
Oh,
supernatural
cool.
war epic.
Oh, that's
Interesting.
right. I think that probably comes from the Bjork stuff. So
Yeah, it does. I don't
oh,
know
okay.
why am I. Yeah, it 100% does.
Nice, nice, nice. I love me some Bjork, so she's a great
Yeah, it's
musician.
fantastic.
Yeah. Uh, what else do we have?
All right, so the other note I have is to give more like specific examples. Most of Stanley Kubrick's movies have been nominated for some sort of Oscars, except his one true horror film, the classic The Shining.
Yeah,
Every Kubrick film has been nominated for something, some sort of award. The
yeah.
Shining is the only example where he was not nominated for any awards.
Well, The Shining though was pretty widely panned when it first came out.
Very
It was
true.
nominated for Razzies rather than
Which
Oscars.
is so weird to me.
It's. I mean, you would think people would like actually pay attention when he created like some of the greatest films ever made, and then he makes The Shining, and then you think they would pay attention, but I don't know. I mean, I think it's a visual masterpiece. There's not like too much plot there. I know the author, whoever that guy is, hated it.
Yeah.
But
Who's that guy?
if you actually watch that movie, like it's just amazing on a visual. It's just a
Mhm.
whole other
Yeah.
level.
Yeah.
Which
Um,
just like kind of shows you what how am I going to phrase this? Critics are important, but at the time, it's hard to take their words for what they're trying to review.
Yeah. Well,
Because
especially
if The Shining is getting panned, then there's something wrong with the situation. I'll just say.
I mean, it works kind of both ways, I think, because there's a lot of times where the critics will praise something, or no,
Yeah.
the critics will pan something, and audiences will go, no, this is great. Don't listen to
Mhm.
the critics. And then you'll have other movies that I think are great a lot of the times that the critics will love and audiences
Yeah.
just hate. So I mean, it kind of works both ways, but I do agree in some cases the critics have gotten things wrong. But then normally, if it's truly great, the critics will come around later.
Yeah.
Like the thing, stuff like that. Critics
Yeah,
also
because
that
didn't Roger Ebert hate the thing? John
yeah.
Carpenter's The Thing?
Well, he didn't. I don't think he hated it. I thought that he said it was just a lot of excess, and not enough story.
From
Which
what I remember, because I watched a review of that, and the guy actually read his review out. He hated it.
oh, okay, yeah.
He panned the performances, everything.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. I think there's some merit in their criticisms, but
Yeah.
it is also still one of the greatest horror movies ever made. So,
Again, not hating on critics at all. I think they're important, but just it kind of shows the debate between critics and fans, especially when The Shining goes and you see what this movie has done for a lot of people.
Mhm.
Like a lot of people count Shining as their favorite horror movie of all time, and then they kind of make documentaries about it. Like Room 237 is a big documentary about it, and it just kind of shows that divide between critics and audiences, where in this case the audience was correct, which I actually find very interesting.
yeah, I mean, it's hard to say anyone is technically correct on anything when it comes to like evaluating art, but I definitely see what you're saying, but that also goes to show that like critics are just a guideline. Critics are just
Yeah.
this is my job. I'm gonna go see everything. I'll let you know, and we take their word for it sometimes because we're like, well, they know what they're talking about. They
Yeah.
watch a lot of movies. They know how to analyze this stuff. I just watch the movies. I don't know. Actually, I don't get paid to do this, but that doesn't mean that a regular Joe Schmo audience member can't. Oh, we have a ghost. Can't have an opinion and be correct in their own way.
Yeah.
Everyone is correct when they evaluate art because that's how they saw it.
Exactly. So then I have Toni Collette, Florence Pugh, again not being nominated for Best Actress for Hereditary, Midsummer. Also, as we brought up, Lupita Nyong'o, Essie Davis. Just a lot of different.
There you go.
Like a lot of different examples of when horror wasn't taken seriously.
Absolutely. And you got freaking Sigourney Weaver and Alien. It's another really good one. Well, you got Jodie Foster was one, so that was pretty great.
Yeah.
Is there any other really good ones we're leaving off here?
Oh, I'm sure there's a million that we're not thinking of. Like,
there's tons of them.
Made a list.
Recently, The Night House.
Yes.
Rebecca Hall for The Night House.
The Night House. She's also excellent in that Sundance movie we watched. What was it called?
Oh my God, Resurrection. That was
Resurrection.
wild. I mean, Rebecca Hall is out here just like acting.
He's just killing it.
Weirdest fucking shit.
Yes. And then I have some more examples. So this one is actually wild to me. So in 2018, A Quiet Place was nominated for Best Sound Editing. And
Mhm.
instead of giving the win to the movie where sound was the point of the film, the Academy gave the Best Sound Editing to Bohemian Rhapsody, a film that definitely didn't need it.
That Bohemian Rhapsody had a lot of issues, and it got a lot of I think praise and nominations that it didn't really deserve. A lot of people talk about how it got an editing nomination, and even the editor of the movie, John Ottman, who's normally a composer, he
Oh yeah, he is. What the
he was he was talking about like all the issues that went into like actually editing that movie. So even the editor was
again?
like, "What?"
I actually really love that movie, Bohemian Rhapsody, but to not give the Oscar
Yeah,
win for sound editing to the movie where no sound and sound is very important is the
absolutely.
intent the like it is the movie. It's
Just like
mind blowing to me.
how it created such an atmosphere where you didn't have that much sound at all in the beginning, that such a noise as knocking over a lamp or knocking over
Can
a
cause
lantern or
fear.
whatever.
Yeah.
It was this one of the scariest things that year. I was like, oh my god, okay. Just so much tension built with silence and then a loud sound. Is so effective sometimes. So yeah, I think that would
Yeah.
be very deserving. I love that movie.
I do too. Kerri, thoughts on all of this?
Yeah, I mean, there's just an incredible bias, I think, against horror movies. I'm hoping that it's coming around more. Like, we have seen where less traditional dramas, like we've been talking about, like Parasite, like Shape of Water, where they've been nominated and they've actually won.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I think if we can get, I don't know, just maybe some younger people who, I think there's a lot of people who back in the day didn't feel that art movies or horror movies were legitimate
Art.
art,
I
and I
think
think that's changing,
I think
hopefully.
maybe something they could do, because I know a lot of the times, like Scream, for example, the new one, they rushed out kind of really early, which I liked because I wanted to see it sooner than later. But if I don't know if that's one that people would say, let's rush that to award season so that it can maybe have a run. But I feel like maybe if studios had more faith in the horror movies, they could like push them out later in the year. Because I know one of my favorite horror movies that totally should have been nominated for Best Picture was The Invisible Man, and that
Yes.
came out right before the pandemic hit.
Elizabeth
And
Moss, fantastic in that film.
absolutely,
And see, for 2020, we had such a limited set of movies because almost nothing came out in 2020 except for
yeah.
that first batch and then stuff that came out online. And it's insane to me that even then it still
It
wasn't.
still couldn't get it. Like,
Yeah.
come on.
It's like, well, let's nominate frickin' Mank in the Trial of the Chicago Seven because of Fincher and Sorkin, and it's like, why wouldn't you just nominate The Invisible Man? Because that movie's incredible. But it came out really early and just before the pandemic, so
But Get Out came out really early and it had staying power.
that had staying power. I don't think The Invisible Man had that, which is so
Well, The
unfortunate.
Invisible Man
because
came out when? February? Because it was right around Valentine's Day.
Same thing with Get Out. That came out in February too, or
Yeah,
March.
but I think you have a good point that with Get Out, the movie theaters kept it in theaters because people would get it and would see it and by word of mouth say, no, I know this is like a horror movie, but you actually have to go see it. I had people who in my life, like my friends and family, who had never seen a horror movie like almost ever, go out to the theaters to see Get Out.
It's a movie they couldn't get out of their heads.
Exactly.
Theaters. But The Invisible Man, I mean, I think you're right, Chad. The pandemic hit, like, I think while it was still in theaters or shortly after. So it really people couldn't go out and go see it.
I mean, that's the thing with The Invisible Man. I think is it hits on all the fronts. It looks beautiful. It looks amazing. I love the way Lee Winnell moved the camera, directed everything. Just the production design, like just of that house, was so cool. That house looked amazing, but it was like, owned by an asshole. a monster, and
I won't buy an asshole.
the performances were just so good in this movie, like
Mhm.
all the performances, but especially Elizabeth Moss, and it had that depth and that meaning to it as well, like the
Yeah.
Babadook stuff like that, where it's about domestic violence and overcoming that,
Mhm.
and just all this. It just had so much to, and it was scary. So there's a lot to
Yeah.
it that it should have been nominated, and
And like
Hereditary as well.
yes, Hereditary as well. But this movie, The Invisible Man, actually shows how great of an actress Moss is, because most of the film she is acting to herself,
Yeah,
and she can convince you that someone is there.
Yeah.
That
yeah.
is how good she is.
Yeah, I freaking loved her in that. I loved her in Us. She needs to keep
She's
doing
great.
horror stuff because she's really good in those.
Mm-hmm. All right, so then the final question I have is, uh, does it even matter if horror gets, more recognition or nomination? I actually have a little
It's a good
like
question.
snippet that I want to bring up. It says, uh, well, I wrote, of course it matters, because while we like it or not, having an Oscar will open a lot more doors for actors and directors. And in the horror genre, it means even more, because if a horror director gets best director win, doors will open will make or the doors will open to make more horror films, and as a whole the horror genre will be more available to audiences. A certain genre should not be determined whether someone gets recognized or not. What should matter is directing and the performance of the film itself.
I mean, those are all great points, and yeah, I would say yes and no to the question because, like, if it's not, it hasn't been respected by the Academy, and still look at how many people already still love horror, and it's just their favorite thing in the
Yeah.
world. Like Carrie's one of them. I'm kind of one of them. Hunter's definitely one of them. So it's like, we're creating a whole show out of it, and it's
Yeah.
not respected. So in a sense, no, because so many people still will love it anyways. And I think some people might actually love it more if it's not too, in a way. Maybe they're like, it's
Mhm.
fine.
It's
It's anti like the
the punk
Academy.
rock
Yeah.
of music.
Yeah.
But in a way, you're right as well, is that a lot of these movies get more respect, they get bigger budgets, they get more
And that's
uh
the thing. It's like, whether we like it or not, as I said, when you have an Oscar on your mantle,
yeah,
people and studios are going to want to work with you. That's why Jordan Peele is coming out with Nope with a higher budget. He's able to do this alien film
yeah,
because of Get Out and because of the success of Us. Because studios can see, oh, this guy can make horror films. Let's leave him alone, give him a budget that works with him. And he has an Oscar for one of his movies.
yeah. I mean, I think that definitely works for movies when they get bigger budgets and stuff. Because that's the thing about horror, is it's such a wide umbrella, it's so expansive, where you have these horror movies over here, like the Nope, that it's epic, or like the 10 Cloverfield Lane or
Mhm.
stuff like that, like kind of small scale, but then gets real big and weird, like with the aliens and stuff.
Yeah.
But then horror, a lot of the times, like especially back in the day, was kind of seen as like the cheap movie that you could go out and just make a really cool. I mean, like, look at how scary Halloween still is, and that
Yeah.
movie was made on no budget.
With no blood.
Right. And yeah, it's still a great film. So I think both for the
It
question.
is, yeah, because in some ways you do want some big budget horror movies, but in other ways, for to have it's fantastic the explosion of indie horror movies we've seen,
Yes.
and the control that a lot of studios are able to give to directors and writers and the people who are actually making the art, and they're not dictating as much. Like with a Marvel movie, right? You have the
It's
producers all saying it needs to do these things. We're going to insert these things in it. Doesn't matter what your vision is. And that's why, the Eternals probably was like not a great success, because you have this indie director, Chloe Zhao, who's used to doing her own thing. And then you probably have Marvel over here saying, no, you have to include these things.
And that's why
yeah.
Edgar Wright didn't want to direct Ant-Man, because he's like, if I can't do it my way, I'm not going to do
Yeah,
it.
Yeah.
that's more I think you get because there's not as much pressure on the studios to have these films nominated for awards, and more so to hit the box office as big as some of these like big budget films. The directors I think have hopefully a little bit more power.
And the other thing too is just the fact that it's just about due respect, and it's just about like, why, if you're gonna say we're the Academy and we're gonna nominate films and we're gonna not give awards to people who deserve it, who make really great art, then you should just spread that love as far as you can to international films, comedy, horror, weird freaking movies, just anything, So
yeah,
we'll see if it happens.
And Kerri brought up a very great point about indie horror and how, especially since the rise of A24,
right,
we've been seeing some of the best horror films of the decade, of the 2010s. And mostly because A24 can make those movies for super cheap, and then they're almost guaranteed to make a profit off of it because the budgets are so low. And look at what, an indie horror movie did for someone like Robert Eggers, who he started off with The Witch from A24, then went to The Lighthouse from A24, and now is doing a war epic that cost $90 million. And he started off with a budget of, I believe it was super low. It was like $5 million, I think, something like that. And he's hit it out of the park all 3 times. He's 3 for 3 when it comes to making masterful movies. And he started with something like an indie horror film in The Witch. It just goes to show you what word of mouth and what good feedback to horror films can do for someone, especially an unknown director.
Yeah. And I mean, it's not even just A20. I totally agree with you. I love a lot of what A24 does, because they even have like just a little category of horror films. We were going to do an episode, and we probably still will at some point. We're talking about just A24 horror.
Yeah.
But there's other like really great horror companies.
Blumhouse Studios.
So that Blumhouse is what I was about to say, with The Invisible Man.
Yeah.
Not necessarily like Oscar worthy, like, for the film, but you got like really great stuff like Happy Death Day.
Yes.
And just I don't have a whole list, but they do a lot of really great stuff. I think it's more hit or miss, but even A24 has some
Fantasy Island
weird misses out there. But
I will say this: even the A24 misses are very entertaining misses.
Potentially, I haven't seen all of them, but I will say, at least they're throwing everything they have at it and trying new things, and that's how you get bad movies, but that's how also you get some really interesting, great movies that just haven't really been done before. So
and also like A24 films when it comes to actors as well. Like, to be honest, the first film I saw Anya Taylor-Joy in was The Witch.
Yeah.
And she's a megastar now. And that's because she started off lower and worked her way up to it.
Well, and vice versa, though. Like, you have, fantastic, already well-established actors and actresses like Toni Collette and Florence Pugh. Like, Toni Collette was in Ari Aster's feature film debut. I mean, that some of these artists, these actors and actresses, and then all the supporting crew and the producers are willing and able to take a risk on these indie films, probably knowing that they're not going to get recognized for it because it is a horror movie. It's awesome. They're doing it strictly for the art.
And it wasn't Toni Collette's horror debut. She was in The Sixth Sense.
She was.
And
she was, wasn't she?
Also, she's the mommy. And also, I want to say, like, not just Toni Collette, even though she's fantastic, but like Alex Wolff in that movie. Boy, and he could have been nominated for Pig as well. So
for sure.
That dude.
Yeah, like what's funny is like I remember when I was younger watching Alex Wolff and his brother on this Nick show, Nick's Brother Band, and now I see him doing horror, and I'm like, he's in his element. Like the
Yeah.
dude is really good when it comes to giving horror performances that you're just like, where did this come from? It's like
Yeah.
Pattinson in a way. Because he
Yeah.
started off with Twilight, and you're just like, that's where his acting level is gonna be. And then he comes out with Good Time and
Hmm.
The Lighthouse. And you're just like, this dude is a phenomenal actor.
Dude, I even watched Twilight back now, and I'm like, I like what Pattinson is doing here, and even though it's silly as hell,
You're just like,
I like those movies. So, but
fair
yeah,
enough.
ever since I saw Good Time, I was just a Pattinson kind of junkie a little bit. I'm
Yeah.
like, this dude, anything he comes out with, I'm just gonna be super
There was
excited.
one that I watched on Netflix that's also from A24. It's called The Rover.
I have The Rover on Blu-ray. That's a
It's
good movie. Yeah.
so good. And because it's literally just him and another person, and
Isn't
they're
it Guy
acting off each other.
Pearce
It's
in
Guy
it?
Pearce.
Yeah,
Yes.
that
Yes.
was a really good movie. I need to rewatch that one. I haven't seen it
And
very
funny
much.
enough, his performance in Good Time is what got him cast in the Batman.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I've heard that.
Like from the director himself, he said, "I saw Good Time, and I knew that I wanted this guy to play Batman,"
Yeah.
and it worked. Again, horror, kind of like in the background, giving you great performances that lead to something bigger.
That's very true, man. That's very true. Even the Batman's a little bit horror sometimes.
Oh, definitely it is. The Riddler scenes? Come on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's 7 right there, man.
yeah, very, very good.
Is there anything else you guys want to discuss before we head out?
I don't know. I mean, I think we covered a lot about our thoughts on that. We think horror deserves more respect from the Oscars. We've talked a lot about some really great performances. Maybe at one point we could do some sort of like fun ranking about like,
Or not even a ranking, like our own personal little like
lists
yeah, like
of we could do like best films we think should have been nominated for best picture,
yeah,
and then
Ooh,
maybe performances we think should have been nominated. We
yeah,
could just do like 12 of each
that would be fun.
person, something like
yeah.
that.
That
Cool.
could be fun.
Let's
That would be fun. Yeah.
try that at some point. Maybe
Definitely.
after if you do you want to tease the next thing we're
I'm gonna
gonna
tease
do?
it in just a second before we
Okay.
head out. I'm gonna tease it. Don't worry, I got you.
All right.
I got you.
We'll do the
Um,
Oscar thing after that, I guess.
Yeah.
yeah. The only other thing I will add is I wonder, and this is something that I forgot to bring up. Do you guys think that if the Oscars decides to go younger and kind of show a lot of more people of color and a lot of different backgrounds, ethnicities, hell, even sexual orientation, if you think that maybe we'll get more, horror comedies, sci-fi films that are nominated for these pictures? Because to me, it seems like I don't want to generalize a lot of things, but it seems like
Mhm.
old white guys are like, these are the pictures that we want, instead of showing what America or like the world is like, this is what we should have.
I mean, you're not wrong when you have something like, no offense to people who like the movie, but Green Book, that won Best Picture,
Yeah.
you're not wrong in like the typical kind of demographic that tends to sway these things, which is kind of weird too, on one hand, because you look back to some of the prestige horror films from back in the day, like The Omen and
Mhm.
The Exorcist and Rosemary's Baby, that were the ones that were getting a lot of the nominations back then. And now it just seems like horror just kind of like lost its way in the eyes of a lot of the people who do sway these votes. So maybe
Yeah.
if it goes younger, you'll have the Jenna Ortegas from Scream who are like, elevated horror and
Elevated horror.
it needs to be a best picture winner, so we'll see.
Yeah, I think no matter what, the more diversity you have, what
Mhm.
by age, by race, just movie preference, like you're just gonna get more different types of films
Yeah.
nominated, and hopefully, more performers of color, more like crew members of
Yes.
color.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Which
you know,
again, something of like Nope that's coming out is, it's got a great, you know, like people of color who are like not only behind the camera but on the camera. Kiki Palmer, all them. It shows that Hollywood is, as they say, becoming woke, which is fucking bullshit. It's just showing more attention to people who deserve it.
Yeah, and just making it, I don't know, like, so that people are more focused on getting diverse talent in Hollywood. Like, I've listened to interviews where directors have said, I wanted a black lead for this movie, and I was told 5-10 years ago I couldn't get it.
Which kind of tells you not only do we need people of color and different persuasions in behind the camera, in front of the camera, but then also in like the studios.
Yeah,
in the studios as well. Yes.
Sure.
But
100%.
But yeah, I mean, and it's also just to get different kinds of stories from different perspectives. And that's what we love to see. That's why Get Out was so fresh, because it was someone else's perspective and not the same thing
of race and dealing with tough issues.
Yes.
But in a kind of horror comedy type way. Like, it wasn't this big dramatic picture. It dealt with race in a serious way, but also gave you the horror and the comedy that like balanced it out very well.
TS motherfucking A.
Yes, motherfucking A. We handle shit.
We handle shit. That's it.
That's one of my favorite lines. All right, Chad and Kerri, where can people find you online?
Nowhere. If you want to see pictures of our cats that have been in the background this whole
Nowhere.
time, my Instagram is Kerri Elizabeth 17.
I'm gonna plug something for Kerri. Kerri was actually in a great MCU specific trivia match, and I think that's going to be uploaded this Monday, tomorrow. Basically, it's on the Dill Pickle Movie Network. My buddy Dylan Randoza runs this. He does every Monday. He does a different episode of Marvelous Movie Mondays, where he does like Marvel stuff all the times. And
I'm gonna get on that.
Because they have some downtime, we can get you on that. Because they have some downtime, he started running his own little trivia league, and it's very fun. He likes to have different competitors from everywhere come and just face off and have a good time. Kerri played, and she had a great time.
Played,
and
Noah
McCausland, McLovin himself. And we also basically, just had a really good time watching the MCU, just like prepping for this, because I'm also a player in that. But also on the other side of things, there's another show that Dill does called Picture This that I do as well. And we have a great time. In fact, I'm still prepping for that. I talked about it earlier, doing 1998 films. Basically, every month we do a different year of the Oscars. We, it's basically, we focus on the best picture race. So we watch all those movies, the nominees, the winners. We talk about them. We rank them. We talk about our favorite performances, the year itself, other movies that didn't quite make it, and music, everything about the year. And we get really excited for it. This month we're doing 1998. I forget what we're doing next month, but that's
the year of my birth.
Yep. And then
I'm so young.
Last month I think we did 2021. Was that? Yeah, I think so. Yeah. We have a great time. I do debate over at TMG Movie Battlegrounds. I have my own channel. We're trying to get a Denis Villeneuve ranking recorded here soon, but that's been forever. We've been trying to record that, but we do have Edgar Wright, Harry Potter, and Christmas movies that we did rank and stuff, and that's about it.
All right, guys. So I will tell you guys what the next episode will be. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to rank season 2 of Buffy the Vampire Slayer episodes. Yes, I'm almost done with season 2, but life gets in the way, so I'm not able to watch it fast enough, but I will be able to get done with it before next Sunday, when we will rank all 22 episodes.
Get prepared for that ending. It's so good.
Gosh.
I am.
What?
This.
What?
I said, my computer and internet keep crapping out. But I said I am super excited to finish up this season
And
because I'm really enjoying this show. I am having way more fun than I thought I was going to have fun with this show.
that's so good. You kind of make me want to rewind it right now. So.
James Masters as Spike,
yeah. Yep.
amazing.
Yeah.
I love
He's
Spike.
kind of my
Yeah.
favorite character. He's
Spike
up
is
there for me.
amazing.
Yeah.
All
Love
right, guys.
him.
So, yeah, season 2 episodes ranking of Buffy the Vampire Slayer will be next Sunday. If you guys did enjoy this, hit the like button, subscribe to the Nerd Entertainment Network down below. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys soon.